The human ship looked tiny against the massive space station. Captain Dae-ho Kim stood at the window of his vessel, watching the Federation capital grow larger as they approached. Behind him, Dr. Yuna Park checked her notes one more time. "Commander." Taemin Lee adjusted his uniform and tried to look calm. "First contact," Yuna whispered. "We're really doing this?" Dae-ho nodded. 3 months ago, humanity had finally cracked faster-than-light travel. 2 weeks later, they had detected signals from other civilizations. Now they were about to meet the Galactic Federation for the first time. The space station was enormous. It stretched for miles in every direction, with ships of all shapes and sizes docked at its ports. Some ships looked like metal whales, others like crystal flowers, and a few like nothing Dae-ho could even describe. "Incoming message," announced the ship's computer. A voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect English. "Human vessel, you are cleared for docking bay 77 Alpha. Welcome to Federation Station Prime." As they docked, Dae-ho felt nervous excitement in his stomach. Humanity was about to take its first steps into a larger galaxy. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. 3 figures waited for them on the other side. The first was tall and reptilian with green scales and yellow eyes. The second looked like a walking tree with crystal leaves. The third seemed to be made of pure energy, shifting between blue and white light. "Welcome," said the reptilian being. "I am Ambassador Kethvar. These are my colleagues, Sage Rilnith and Energy Singer Lamara." Dae-ho stepped forward. "I'm Captain Dae-ho Kim. This is Dr. Yuna Park and Commander Taemin Lee." "Fascinating," said Kethvar, looking them up and down. "So similar to the Velkari, but with such primitive clothing. Come, the High Chancellor wishes to meet you, as—" They walked through the station. Yuna's eyes went wide. Aliens of every type moved through the corridors. Some flew, some crawled, some seemed to phase in and out of existence. The technology was incredible, too. Walls that showed images of distant worlds, floors that moved like conveyor belts, and lights that seemed to know exactly where to shine. Amazing. Yuna breathed. "Yes," said Kethvar with what might have been a smile. "The Federation has had 10,000 years to perfect these things. Young species are always impressed." Taemin raised an eyebrow at the word young, but said nothing. They entered a massive chamber with a dome that showed the stars outside. Hundreds of beings sat in floating chairs, arranged in a circle. At the center, on the highest platform, sat a creature that looked like a cross between a dragon and an octopus. "Humans of Earth," boomed the creature's voice. "I am High Chancellor Vextar. Welcome to the Galactic Federation." The chamber fell silent. Dae-ho felt like every eye in the room was watching him. He cleared his throat and spoke. "Thank you, High Chancellor. We're honored to meet you and learn about the galaxy we share." Vextar's tentacles writhed slowly. "Indeed. We have been watching your species for some time. You have potential." "Watching us?" Yuna asked. "Of course," said another voice. A new figure approached, a being covered in metal armor with glowing red eyes. "I am Admiral Quenthol. The Federation monitors all developing species. It's for everyone's safety." Dae-ho felt a chill. "You've been spying on us?" "Protecting," corrected Vextar. "The galaxy is dangerous, young human. Species that develop alone often make terrible mistakes. They create weapons they can't control, start wars they can't win, or contact things they shouldn't contact." A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. Dae-ho noticed that many of the aliens were nodding or making similar gestures. "Which brings us," continued Vextar, "to why you're here. The Federation wishes to offer Earth safeguard status." "Safeguard status?" Taemin asked. An ancient-looking being that seemed to be made of starlight drifted forward. "I am Sage Mordain. Safeguard. Status is a great honor, young ones. It means the Federation will protect your species, guide your development, and ensure you don't fall into the many traps that await unwary civilizations." "What does that mean exactly?" Dae-ho asked. Vextar's voice took on a patient tone, like a teacher explaining something to a child. "It means peace, Captain Kim. No more wars between your nations. No more weapons that could destroy your planet. No more dangerous experiments with forces you don't understand. The Federation will oversee all your major decisions," added Admiral Quenthol. Space exploration, technological development, contact with other species, all of it guided by beings, with thousands of years of experience. In return, said Sage Mordain, you receive protection from external threats, access to approved technologies, and a voice in Federation affairs appropriate to your development level. Yuna leaned forward. What do you mean by appropriate to your development level? Several aliens in the chamber made sounds that might have been laughter. Kethvar spoke up. Young species receive junior status, Dr. Park. You would have one. Vote in the Junior Council, which advises the Senior Council on matters affecting developing civilizations. How many species are in this Junior Council? Taemin asked. Currently? 47, said Vextar, though most graduate to full membership within a few centuries. And how many are in the Senior Council? 800, the humans exchanged glances. Yuna did quick math in her head. So we'd have one vote out of 47, advising 800 beings who make the real decisions? Exactly, beamed Kethvar. See how quickly you understand? Most species take much longer to grasp. The system! Deho felt his jaw tighten. The condescension was becoming hard to ignore. Vextar continued. Of course, there are some restrictions. Safeguarded species cannot expand beyond their home systems without Federation approval. All technology development must be monitored to prevent dangerous advances. Military forces are limited to internal peacekeeping. You're talking about making us a protectorate, Taemin said quietly. Such an ugly word, said Admiral Quenthol. We prefer protected species, like a nature, preserve but for entire civilizations. The chamber erupted in approving sounds. Clearly, this was considered a wonderful thing. Sage Mordain drifted closer. Consider the benefits, humans. No more threat of extinction, no more resource wars, no more fear of the unknown. The Federation has kept peace for 10 millennia. We know what works. And if we refuse? Deho asked. The chamber went silent. Vextar's tentacles stopped moving. Admiral Quenthal's armor made a soft clicking sound. Refuse? Vexitar's voice carried surprise. Captain Kim, no species has ever refused Federation protection. It would be unwise. The galaxy is dangerous, Admiral Quenthal added. Species that attempt to develop alone face many hardships. Pirates, hostile aliens, resource conflicts, technological disasters. Most don't survive their first century in space. Of course, said Sage Mordain, the Federation cannot force protection on an unwilling species, but we also cannot protect those who reject our guidance. The threat was clear, even wrapped in diplomatic language. Yuna stepped forward. Could we have some time to discuss this among ourselves? Naturally, said Vextar, though I cannot imagine what there is to discuss. The Federation offers everything a young species could want: safety, guidance, and a place in galactic civilization. As they were led to a guest chamber, Deho could hear the aliens talking among themselves. Words like primitive, stubborn, and typical young species behavior drifted through the air. In their private room, the three humans sat in silence for a long moment. Well, said Yuna finally, that was insulting. They want to make us pets, Taemin growled. Protected animals in a zoo. Deho stood and walked to the window. Outside, ships from hundreds of worlds came and went, all following Federation rules, all under Federation control. The question is, he said slowly, what do we do about it? We could accept, Yuna said reluctantly. The technology they're offering could solve most of Earth's problems. Climate change, energy shortages, disease. At the cost of our freedom, Taemin replied. They're not offering partnership, they're offering surrender. Deho turned back to his companions. What do you think Earth would say if we brought this offer home? Honestly, Yuna sighed. A lot of people would take it. Safety is tempting after all the wars and disasters we've had. And a lot of people would fight it, Taemin countered. Humans don't like being told what to do, especially by condescending aliens who treat us like children. The Federation clearly expects us to accept, Deho mused. They've probably never had a species turn them down. Maybe it's time someone did, Taemin said. The next morning, they were escorted back to the Great Chamber. The entire Federation Council had assembled to hear humanity's answer. Cameras from across the galaxy were focused on the small group of humans standing at the center of the room. Vextar spread his tentacles wide. "Have you reached a decision, humans of Earth?" Deho stepped forward. The chamber was completely silent. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on him. "Hi, Chancellor. Members of the Federation Council," he began, his voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "We thank you for your generous offer." Approving murmurs rippled through the crowd. "However," Deho continued, and the murmurs stopped, "Earth must respectfully decline." For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The silence was so complete that Deho could hear his own heartbeat. Then the chamber exploded. 6 months after the humans said no, High Chancellor Vexitar stared at reports that made no sense. "They should be begging by now," he told Admiral Quenthol. "Every species that tries to go alone comes crawling back within weeks." The Admiral's armor clicked nervously. "The trade embargo is working perfectly. No Federation member will deal with them. Their ships can't buy fuel at our stations. They have no star charts for safe navigation." "Then why?" Vextar asked slowly. "Are there reports of human colonies thriving?" On Earth, Engineer Bo-Ram Choi wiped grease from her hands and grinned at the machine in front of her. It had started as a diplomatic gift from the Federation, a simple matter compiler that could turn raw materials into basic tools. Now, it was something entirely different. "Test number 47, she said to her recording device. "I think I figured out how they make their hulls so strong." The machine hummed a life. Instead of producing the simple metal plates the Federation version could make, Bo-Ram's modified compiler created sheets of material that shouldn't exist. The Federation had given humanity a hammer. Bo-Ram had turned it into a forge. "Bo-Ram!" called her assistant, Jun Ki. "Captain Sujin Han is here." Captain Sujin Han entered the workshop, her exploration uniform dusty from travel. "Please tell me you have good news, Bo-Ram. My ships need better shields if we're going to keep dodging Federation patrols." Bo-Ram's grin widened. "Better than shields? I figured out how to make our hulls repair themselves." Sujin's eyes went wide. "That's impossible. Even Federation ships can't do that." "That's because they think small," Bo-Ram replied. "They use their technology the way it was designed. We use it the way it could work." Meanwhile, in Earth's military headquarters, General Hoseok Yang studied star charts with growing excitement. The Federation had marked most of nearby space as hazardous or worthless. They were wrong on both counts. "Look at this," he told his staff, pointing to a red zone on the map. "The Federation says this sector is full of radiation storms, but our probes show it's just electromagnetic interference. Their sensors can't handle it, but ours can." Commander Taemin Lee, newly promoted to Earth's Defense Council, nodded grimly. "They've been avoiding half the galaxy because their technology can't deal with natural phenomena. They've gotten soft." "More than soft," Yang replied. "They've forgotten how to adapt. 10,000 years of peace and protection have made them weak." 3 systems away, Captain Sujin Han's exploration fleet was proving that point. Her 3 ships hung in space around a planet the Federation had marked as uninhabitable due to toxic atmosphere. "Toxic to them, maybe," Sujin told her crew. "But our environmental suits can handle it just fine. And look at those mineral readings. The planet below glowed with veins of rare metals. The Federation had dismissed it because their species couldn't breathe the air. They never considered that other species might have different needs." "Beginning colonization preparations," Sujin announced. "This will be New Seoul." Back on Earth, Captain Dae-ho Kim was having the most interesting conversation of his diplomatic career. The being on his screen looked like a living crystal, its faceted surface reflecting light in impossible ways. "You are the humans who refused Federation protection?" asked the crystal being. "We are," Dae-ho replied. "I'm Captain Kim. Might I ask who you are?" "I am Velnari of the Velmani. We too were approached by the Federation long ago." Dr. Yuna Park leaned into view. "Approached?" The crystal being's light dimmed. "Conquered would be more accurate. The Federation offered us protection from a war that threatened our homeworld. We accepted. That was 800 years ago. We have been protected ever since." Dae-ho felt his stomach tighten. "What does that mean?" It means we cannot leave our home system without Federation approval. It means all our technology must be approved by Federation scientists. It means we are children who will never be allowed to grow up. But you're contacting us now, Yuna pointed out. For the first time, Velnari's crystal surface brightened. Yes, for the first time in 8 centuries, we dare to hope. If humans can refuse the Federation, perhaps others can find freedom too. The conversation was interrupted by an alert. Commander Tae-Min Lee appeared on another screen. Dae-ho, we have a problem. Federation patrol ships are harassing our freighters. 3 vessels have been inspected for safety violations in the past week. Any actual violations found? Of course not, but they're slowing down our shipping, intimidating our crews, and making sure everyone knows that working with humans brings trouble. Dae-ho sighed. The Federation was applying pressure just as they'd expected. What's our response? Tae-Min's smile was not pleasant. General Yang has some ideas. The next day, a Federation patrol ship moved to intercept a human freighter carrying supplies to New Seoul. The patrol commander was confident this would be routine. Humans might be stubborn, but they were still primitive. Human vessel, he broadcast, prepare to be boarded for safety inspection. The freighter's response surprised him. Federation vessel, you are in human space conducting illegal harassment. Withdraw immediately. The patrol commander laughed. Human space? This sector belongs to the Federation. You have no authority here. Check your star charts, came the calm reply. The commander did check. According to Federation records, this sector was indeed unclaimed space, but that couldn't be right. The Federation claimed all safe passage routes. Impossible, he muttered. Then he noticed something else. His ship's systems were acting strangely. Navigation was sluggish. Weapons weren't responding properly. What's happening? He demanded of his crew. Unknown, sir. It's like our systems are fighting some kind of interference. On the human freighter, Captain Min-Soo Park smiled. Engineer Bo Ram Choi's latest invention was working perfectly. The device broadcast signals that confused Federation computers without technically being a weapon. Federation vessel, Min-Soo transmitted. You appear to be having technical difficulties. We'll be happy to escort you to safe space. The humiliation burned, but the Federation commander had no choice. His ship limped away, its systems clearing up as soon as they left the area. Within hours, news of the incident spread across the galaxy. For the first time in anyone's memory, a Federation patrol had been forced to retreat. On the Federation capital, Admiral Quenthol slammed his armored fist on the table. How is this possible? They have no weapons that could affect our ships. Technically, said Sage Mordain carefully, they used no weapons at all, just some kind of interference that our computers couldn't handle. Are you saying their technology is better than ours? I'm saying their technology is different, and we don't understand it. High Chancellor Vexitar's tentacles writhed with agitation. This is unacceptable. Humanity must be brought to heel before other species get ideas. But ideas were already spreading. Across the galaxy, protected species watched the news feeds with growing excitement. The Silhai nomads, who had wandered space for millennia under Federation restrictions, began gathering their fleets. The conquered Velmani started secret meetings on their crystal homeworld. Most shocking of all, some Federation member species began asking uncomfortable questions about their own freedoms. On Earth, Dr. Unipark compiled reports that painted an amazing picture. In just 6 months, humanity had established 4 new colonies, developed technologies the Federation couldn't counter, and formed alliances with 3 non-Federation species. We're actually doing it, she told Dae-ho in amazement. We're surviving on our own. More than surviving, Dae-ho replied, reviewing the latest intelligence reports. We're thriving, and that scares them. Engineer Bo Ram Choi's latest breakthrough arrived just in time. Her new ships were faster than anything the Federation had, using principles their scientists insisted were impossible. How do they work? Asked General Yang Bo-ram shrugged. The Federation thinks space travel has to follow their rules, but space doesn't care about their rules. It only cares about physics, and physics has a lot more possibilities than they ever explored. Captain Sujin Han tested one of the new ships herself. It moved like a dancer through asteroid fields that would challenge Federation pilots. It could jump between stars using half the energy Federation ships required. It's like they forgot how to innovate, she reported. They have one way of doing things, and they never question if there might be a better way. The final straw came when humanity announced its newest colony, New Busan, established in a system the Federation had marked as impossible to colonize due to gravitational anomalies. Human ships danced through the gravitational maze like it was a gentle breeze. Human technology adapted to challenges the Federation had simply declared unsolvable. Admiral Quenthal received the report with disbelief. They're colonizing systems we can't even navigate safely. Worse, replied his aide. 3 other species have asked to send observers to learn human techniques. Which species? The Silhai nomads, the Kefri merchants, and the Velmani. Quenthal's armor went completely silent. The Velmani had been model-protected citizens for 8 centuries. If they were looking to humans for inspiration, High Chancellor Vextar made his decision. Enough, Admiral. Prepare a fleet. We will visit Earth and remind humanity exactly why they need Federation protection. Admiral Quenthal stared at the human fleet through his command screen. 12 ships against 50. The humans had to be insane. Final warning, he broadcast. Surrender now and accept Federation protection, or we will demonstrate why protection is necessary. Commander Taemin Lee's voice came back steady and calm. Admiral, the only thing you're going to demonstrate is that bullies eventually meet someone who fights back. Quenthal's armor clicked in annoyance. Very well. All ships, prepare to disable human vessels. Use minimum force. We want prisoners, not wreckage. The Federation fleet moved forward in perfect formation, 50 ships advancing like a wall of metal and energy. Their movements were precise, coordinated, beautiful in their military perfection. The human fleet scattered. What are they doing? Asked Quenthal's tactical officer. They're breaking formation. Instead of meeting the Federation advance head-on, the human ships split in all directions. Some dove toward Earth's moon, others climbed toward the outer planets, and a few simply vanished from sensors entirely. Find them, Quenthal ordered. How can 12 ships just disappear? On the human command ship, Taemin Lee smiled grimly. Stealth systems online. All ships, execute Plan Wildfire. The Federation had assumed human technology was primitive. They were wrong. Human ships didn't just hide from sensors, they became invisible to them. Technology Bo Ram Choi had developed by studying how Earth's animals used camouflage. First target acquired, reported pilot Ji-Woo Nam from her fighter squadron. Beginning attack run. Ji-Woo's ship screamed out of Earth's shadow, moving faster than Federation sensors could track. Her target was one of their supply ships, hanging safely in the rear of their formation. Impossible, gasped the supply ship's captain as weapons fire tore through his shields. Where did they come from? Ji-Woo's fighter danced around the larger ship like a bee attacking a bear. The Federation ship's weapons couldn't track her erratic movements. Their targeting computers were designed for predictable enemies. Hull breach. On deck 7, reported the supply ship's crew. Systems failing. Before they could respond, Ji-Woo was gone, vanishing back into the sensor shadows. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human ships appeared from nowhere, struck hard and fast, then disappeared before the Federation could respond. This is impossible, Quenthal raged. They're using hit-and-run tactics. Sir, his tactical officer said nervously. Hit-and-run. Tactics are considered dishonorable by galactic military standards. Tell that to my burning ships. Captain Hai-Jin Ko brought her battlecruiser up from behind Earth's moon, targeting the Federation flagship. Her ship was smaller and, supposedly, weaker than Quenthal's massive dreadnought. All power to forward guns, she ordered. Let's see how their shields handle this. Her weapons were different from anything the Federation had seen. Instead of the standard energy beams most civilizations used, human weapons fired projectiles. Chunks of metal accelerated to incredible speeds. The Federation shield generators, designed to stop energy weapons, couldn't handle solid matter moving at 10% of light speed. Quenthal's ship shuddered as human projectiles punched through his shields and tore into the hull. Damage report, he demanded. Hull breaches on 15 decks. Shield generators. 1 through 6 are down. Engineering is requesting immediate repairs. How is a primitive ship doing this much damage? Sir, they're not using energy weapons. They're using rocks. Rocks. Very fast rocks, sir. On New Busan, The Federation's police action was going even worse. The planet's colonists had had months to prepare for this moment, and they'd used the time well. Federation troops landed expecting to face frightened civilians. Instead, they found a population that had turned their entire world into a fortress. "Where are they?" wondered Federation Commander Killthresh as his troops moved through the seemingly empty colony. "Sensors show 10,000 humans live here, but we can't find anyone." The answer came in the form of weapons fire from every direction at once. Human colonists emerged from hidden positions in buildings, underground tunnels, and even inside the walls themselves. "They're in the infrastructure," radioed one Federation soldier. "The entire colony is designed for guerrilla warfare." Dr. Minho Song had spent months preparing New Busan's defenses. Every building was a potential bunker. Every tunnel was a supply route. Every civilian was a soldier when needed. "Remember," he told the colonists over their communication network, "they expect us to follow their rules of war. Don't." Federation troops found themselves fighting an enemy that was everywhere and nowhere. Children threw grenades from school windows. Old people sniped from retirement home rooftops. Even the colony's pets seemed to be working against the invaders. "This is insane," reported Commander Killthresh. "The entire population is fighting. Even their younglings are armed." The Federation had fought wars before, but always against other military forces. They'd never faced an entire society that refused to surrender. Worse, the humans were using improvised weapons that Federation sensors couldn't identify as threats. Mining charges became bombs. Construction equipment became tanks. Even kitchen knives became deadly in human hands. "Sir," radioed a Federation sergeant, "I'm pinned down by hostile fire from what appears to be a food preparation facility." "A what kitchen?" "Yes, sir. They're using cooking utensils as projectile weapons." Back in space, the battle was reaching its climax. The Federation fleet was larger and more powerful, but the humans were faster, smarter, and completely unpredictable. Pilot Jiwoo Nam had already disabled 3 Federation ships when she spotted her biggest target yet, Admiral Quenthol's flagship, limping away from Captain Haijin Ko's devastating attack. "All fighters, this is Jiwoo. I'm making a run on their command ship." "Jiwoo, negative," came Taemin's voice. "That ship is too heavily defended." "Only one way to find out," Jiwoo replied, diving her fighter toward the massive dreadnought. The DI. Federation flagship's defensive guns opened fire, filling space with deadly energy beams. Any sane pilot would have retreated. Jiwoo flew straight through the barrage. Her ship twisted and rolled, somehow finding gaps in the defensive fire that shouldn't have existed. She flew like no Federation pilot had ever seen, not following safe, predictable patterns, but dancing on the edge of disaster. "How is she doing that?" Quenthal demanded. "Unknown, sir. Her flight patterns are completely irrational. Our targeting computers can't predict her movements." "Then fire manually." "Sir, no organic pilot could track movements that erratic." Jiwoo's fighter slammed into the flagship's main bridge at full speed. The explosion tore through 3 decks and left Admiral Quenthol's command center a smoking ruin. "Admiral!" called his second-in-command. "Are you injured?" Quenthal pulled himself from the wreckage, his armor cracked and sparking. "That pilot! She sacrificed herself just to damage our ship." "Yes, sir. Suicide tactics are unknown in Federation." "Military doctrine." "Because they're insane!" Quenthal raged. "What kind of species fights like this?" The answer came from an unexpected source. On his damaged screen, a message appeared from the crystal being Velnari. "Admiral Quenthal." The Velmani's voice was crystal clear despite the static. "You asked what kind of species fights like this. The answer is simple. A free one." Across the galaxy, other voices joined in. "The nomadic Silhai declared their support for humanity. The conquered Kefri announced they were refusing Federation orders. Even some Federation member species began questioning their government's actions." "This is rebellion!" Quenthal gasped. "No!" came a new voice. It was Captain Daeho Kim, speaking from Earth's orbital station. "This is revolution." The tide of battle had already turned. Half the Federation fleet was damaged or disabled. New Busan's colonists had forced the Federation ground troops to retreat to their landing ships. And worst of all, the galaxy was watching. For 10,000 years, the Federation had maintained order through the simple threat of overwhelming force. No one had ever successfully resisted them. Now 12 human ships had fought 50 Federation vessels to a standstill. A single human colony had repelled an invasion force, and the galaxy's oppressed peoples were finding their voice. "Sir," Quenthol's communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender demands." "From who?" "From the humans, sir." Commander Taemin Lee's message was broadcast across the galaxy. "Federation fleet, you have attacked our colonies and threatened our homeworld. We demand your immediate withdrawal and compensation for damages." Quenthol couldn't believe what he was hearing. "They're demanding we surrender?" "It appears so, sir. They're also demanding we pay for repairs to their colony." The audacity was breathtaking. But as Quenthol looked at his battered fleet, at the reports of rebellion spreading across Federation space, and at the impossible humans who had just rewritten the rules of galactic warfare, he realized something terrible. He was considering it. "Sir?" his aide asked. "What are your orders?" Quenthol stared at the human fleet, still outnumbered but somehow victorious. They hadn't just won a battle. They'd shattered the myth of Federation invincibility. "Signal the fleet," he said quietly. "We're withdrawing." "Sir, should I inform High Chancellor Vexitar?" Quenthol's armor went silent for a long moment. "Tell the Chancellor that humanity has just taught the galaxy something we forgot long ago." High Chancellor Vexitar's rage shook the Federation capital. The humiliation at Earth had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. 3 member species had declared independence. 12 protected worlds were refusing to follow Federation orders. The entire structure of galactic civilization was cracking. "This ends now," he declared to the Emergency Council session. "Humanity has been allowed to spread chaos long enough." Admiral Quenthol, his armor still bearing scars from the battle at Earth, shifted uncomfortably. "High Chancellor, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. The humans have proven more capable than expected." "They have proven nothing except that chaos can temporarily triumph over order," Vextar snapped. "Assemble the Grand Fleet. We will crush this rebellion before it spreads further." Sage Mordane's energy form flickered with concern. "The Grand Fleet has not been assembled in 4,000 years. To use it against a single species is necessary," Vextar finished. "The humans have rejected every offer of peace. They have corrupted other species with their madness. They must be stopped." The Grand Fleet was the Federation's ultimate weapon, 5,000 ships from 800 worlds, carrying weapons that could crack planets and shields that could stop stars. It had been used only 3 times in Federation history, always to end galactic wars in a single decisive battle. But on Earth, Admiral Sung Kyung-yoon wasn't planning to fight a decisive battle. She was planning to fight a war the Federation had never seen before. "They'll come with everything they have," she told the assembled commanders in Earth's war room. 5,000 ships, probably more. They want to end this quickly and decisively." Captain Daeho Kim studied the tactical displays. "Can we evacuate the colonies?" "Some of them," replied General Hoseok Yang. "But New Seoul and New Busan are too established to abandon completely." "Then we don't abandon them," Sung Kyung said firmly. "We defend them." Commander Taemin Lee frowned. "Admiral, with respect, we have maybe 100 ships now, counting the vessels our allies have contributed." "Against 5,000? Sung Kyung smiled coldly. "Taemin, you're thinking like a Federation admiral. Stand-up battle, force against force, winner takes all. That's not how humans fight." She activated a holographic display showing the entire human sphere of influence. It looked tiny compared to Federation space, just a few dozen systems clustered around Earth. "The Federation expects us to gather our fleet and meet them in glorious battle," Sung Kyung continued. "Instead, we're going to be everywhere and nowhere. We're going to make them fight for every system, every planet, every asteroid." "Dr. Dong-wook." Shin entered the briefing room, carrying a device that hummed with barely contained energy. "Speaking of fighting, I have something that should help level the playing field." "What is it?" Yuna asked. "I call it a reality disruptor," Dong-wook replied. "It makes Federation technology unreliable." He activated the device. Every Federation-made piece of equipment in the room immediately started malfunctioning. Lights flickered, displays went static, and a Federation datapad simply fell apart. "How?" gasped Daeho. "The Federation builds everything the same way," Dong-wook explained. "Same materials, same energy frequencies, same quantum signatures. After studying the wreckage from their fleet, I found the pattern. This device broadcasts a signal that makes their technology fight itself. Sung Kyung's smile widened. How many of these can you build? As many as you need. 3 months later, the Grand Fleet assembled at the edge of human space. It was a sight that had humbled civilizations and ended wars. 5,000 ships stretching from horizon to horizon, carrying enough firepower to sterilize 100 worlds. Admiral Quenthol commanded one of the battle groups, still hoping this show of force would convince humanity to surrender without further bloodshed. Human colonies, he broadcast on all frequencies, you are surrounded by the combined might of the Federation. Surrender now and accept protection. This is your final chance. The response came from Captain A-Rod Jeon, speaking from the asteroid. Belt around New Seoul. Federation fleet, you are trespassing in human space. Leave now or face the consequences. Laughter rippled through the Federation fleet. The consequences? What could a handful of humans do against the Grand Fleet? They were about to find out. The first sign something was wrong came when the Federation's long-range sensors started giving impossible readings. Ships that should have been at Earth were showing up near New Busan. Fleets that should have been defending colonies were appearing in empty space. Sensor malfunction, reported a Federation technician. The humans appear to be in multiple locations simultaneously. Recalibrate everything, Quenthol ordered, and advance on Earth. If we take their homeworld, the rest will surrender. But as the Grand Fleet moved toward Earth, they found the space around Sol System filled with surprises. Asteroid fields that moved, minefields that appeared from nowhere, and strangest of all, empty space that fought back. Sir, reported a Federation captain, my ship is losing power. All systems are failing. Mine too, came another voice. It's like our technology is turning against us. Dong Wook Shin's reality. Disruptors were hidden throughout human space, broadcasting their chaos-inducing signals. Federation ships found their weapons refusing to fire, their shields flickering randomly, and their engines shutting down without warning. What's happening? Demanded Fleet Admiral Thexmore, the Grand Fleet's overall commander. Unknown, sir. All Federation technology is experiencing simultaneous failures across multiple systems. All of it? That's impossible. It wasn't impossible. It was just the beginning. Captain A-Rod Jeon led her Special Forces team aboard a disabled Federation dreadnought. While the ship's crew struggled with malfunctioning systems, human commandos moved through the corridors like ghosts. Remember, A-Ra whispered to her team, we're not here to destroy the ship. We're here to liberate it. Federation ships carried crews from dozens of different species, many of them protected peoples who had never been asked if they wanted protection. A-Ra's mission was to offer them a choice. Attention crew of the Federation vessel Eternal, Glory, she broadcast from the ship's own communication system. This is Captain A-Ra Jeon of the Human Liberation Force. We are not your enemies. We are here to offer you freedom. The ship's captain, a proud Zeltharian, tried to rally his crew. Ignore the human propaganda. Remain at your posts. But many of his crew members were listening. The Kefri engineers who maintained the ship's systems. The Velmani navigators who plotted its course. The Silhai fighters who had never wanted to fight for the Federation in the first place. You have a choice, A-Ra continued. Fight for those who see you as servants, or join those who see you as equals. The mutiny started in engineering. Kefri workers shut down the ship's weapons and opened the airlocks for human boarding parties. It spread to navigation when Velmani pilots began feeding false coordinates to other Federation ships. By the time A-Ra reached the bridge, half the crew had joined her. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. The Federation's greatest weakness wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was the fact that many of their own people didn't want to fight. Admiral Sung Kyung-yoon watched the battle unfold from her command ship, hidden in the shadow of Earth's moon. The Grand Fleet was tearing itself apart as ship after ship experienced technical difficulties or crew problems. Phase 2, she ordered. Human ships emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. They weren't trying to fight the Grand Fleet head-on. That would have been suicide. Instead, they hit supply lines, communication relays, and command ships. The Federation had never fought an enemy that refused to engage properly. Their ships were designed for massive fleet battles, not the guerrilla warfare humanity specialized in. Sir, reported a Federation admiral, we've lost contact with 30% of the fleet. Lost contact? How can we lose contact with ships in the same system? Unknown, sir. They're just gone. They weren't gone. They were captured, converted, or convinced to join the growing rebellion. Each Federation ship that switched sides brought its crew's knowledge and its weapons to humanity's cause. The turning point came when scientist Dong-Wook Shin activated his masterpiece, a reality disruptor the size of a small moon, hidden in the asteroid belt. Every Federation ship in the system suddenly found itself fighting its own technology. Weapons turned on their wielders, shields trapped their own ships, navigation systems sent vessels spinning into space. Impossible, roared Fleet Admiral Thexmore as his flagship began tearing itself apart. Technology cannot behave this way. It can if you understand the fundamental principles, came a new voice on the communication system. It was Dong-Wook Shin himself, broadcasting from his laboratory on Earth. You build everything the same way, use the same frequencies, follow the same patterns. You've forgotten that technology is just applied physics, and physics doesn't care about your politics. The Grand Fleet, the most powerful military force in galactic history, was defeated not by superior weapons, but by superior understanding. But the real victory wasn't happening in space. It was happening on Federation worlds across the galaxy, where oppressed peoples saw the news feeds and realized that resistance was possible. The Velmani crystal cities erupted in revolution. 5 years after the fall of the Federation, President Da-Yun Lim stood before the largest gathering in galactic history. Representatives from over 1,000 worlds had come to Earth for the founding of the Galactic Alliance. The assembly hall was a marvel of cooperative engineering. Velmani crystal formations provided perfect acoustics. Silhai environmental systems maintained atmospheres suitable for dozens of species. Human technology ensured everyone could communicate despite speaking different languages. 5 years ago, Da-Yun began, her words translated instantly into hundreds of languages. The galaxy was ruled by fear. Fear of war, fear of chaos, fear of freedom itself. Today we gather to prove that freedom is not something to fear. It's something to celebrate. In the audience, former High Chancellor Vextar sat with other Federation leaders who had survived the revolution. They were not prisoners. The Alliance had chosen justice over revenge, but they were no longer rulers of anything. Vextar listened to the human president with a mixture of admiration and confusion. He still didn't understand how they had done it, how 12 ships had become a galactic revolution, how a species barely capable of interstellar flight had rewritten the fundamental rules of civilization. The Federation promised peace through control, Da-Yun continued. We offer something better, peace through choice. The charter of the Galactic Alliance was unlike anything in galactic history. No species was protected against their will. No world was governed without consent. No technology was restricted except weapons of mass destruction. Most radical of all, the Alliance had no permanent government. Leadership rotated between worlds. Decisions required consensus from affected parties, and any member could leave at any time. It will never work, Vextar had predicted when the charter was first proposed. Government requires authority. Peace requires control. He was being proven wrong on a daily basis. Commander Jae-hyun Cha reviewed the latest reports from across Alliance space. Crime was down, trade was up, innovation was exploding as species shared knowledge freely for the first time in millennia. No major conflicts in the past 6 months, he reported to the Alliance Defense Council. The Kefri mining dispute was resolved through arbitration. The Velmani territorial question was settled by voluntary population exchange. What about the border worlds? Asked Admiral Sung Kyung-yoon, now coordinator of Alliance Defense Forces. Any problems with non-member species? Actually, the opposite. 3 more systems have applied for membership this month. They want protection that doesn't cost them their freedom. The Alliance Defense Force was as revolutionary as the government it served. Instead of conquest and occupation, it focused on protection and rescue. Instead of enforcing order, it preserved choice. Ships from dozens of species served together, not because they were forced to, but because they believed in the cause. Former Federation officers worked alongside ex-rebels and freed slaves, united by shared values rather than shared oppression. Dr. Young-Soo Kim, now Chief of Interspecies Relations, had the most complex job in the galaxy. Every day brought new challenges as species that had been enemies for centuries learned to cooperate. The Thexkari and the Muldain are still having trouble working together, he reported to Da-Un. 1,000-year-old grievances don't disappear overnight. Suggestions? The president asked. Joint exploration mission to the Outer Rim. Nothing builds trust like facing unknown dangers together. It was working. Slowly, sometimes painfully, but it was working. Species that had spent millennia in isolation were discovering they had more in common than they'd thought. The Federation had kept the galaxy divided through fear and mistrust. The Alliance was bringing it together through cooperation and hope. On New Busan, Dr. Min-Ho Song showed visitors through the memorial park dedicated to those who had died in the first Federation attack. The park was beautiful. Velmani crystals grew around human sculptures, while Silhai wine gardens provided music that honored the dead. They died for freedom, Min-Ho explained to a group of young beings from across the galaxy. Not just human freedom, but the idea that all species have the right to choose their own path. One of the visitors, a young Kefri, raised a crystalline hand. But teacher, wouldn't they have lived if humanity had just accepted Federation protection? Min-Ho smiled sadly. Perhaps. But what kind of life would that have been? Safety without choice isn't really living. It's just existing. Another visitor, this one a Silhai child, asked, "Why did the Federation want to control everyone?" "Because they were afraid," Min-Ho replied. "Afraid of change. Afraid of chaos, afraid of the unknown. They thought order was more important than freedom. Were they wrong? What do you think?" The child looked around the memorial park, at beings from dozens of species working and playing together. I think freedom is messier than order, but it's more fun." Min-Ho laughed. "You're going to do well in the new galaxy, young one." In the depths of space, engineer Boram Choi worked on her latest project, a space station that would serve as humanity's gift to the galaxy. It wasn't a weapon or a fortress, but a university where any species could come to learn and teach. The Federation hoarded knowledge, she explained to her diverse construction crew. They decided who was ready for what technology, who could learn what secrets. We're going to do the opposite. The Prometheus Station, as it came to be known, was designed to be a center of open learning. Its libraries contained the accumulated knowledge of 1,000 worlds. Its laboratories welcomed researchers from any species. Its workshops taught practical skills to anyone willing to learn. "Are you sure this is wise?" asked her assistant, a former Federation scientist named Kilmore. "Some knowledge is dangerous." "All knowledge is dangerous," Boram replied. "Fire can burn down a forest or warm a home. The difference is who's using it and why. But what if someone uses this knowledge to create weapons, to restart wars?" Boram paused in her work and looked out at the stars. "Then we'll deal with that problem when it comes. But we won't prevent progress because we're afraid of possible misuse." It was a fundamental principle of the new galaxy. Trust beings to make good choices, and most of them would. The Federation had assumed the worst of everyone and gotten it. The Alliance assumed the best and was usually proven right. Captain Soo-Jin Han led the first mixed-species crew ever assembled on a mission to explore beyond the Galactic Rim. Her ship carried humans, Velmani, Silhai, Kefri, and even a few former Federation loyalists who had chosen to embrace the new way. "Unknown vessel detected," reported her Velmani navigator, Silthara. "Configuration unlike anything in our databases." "First contact?" asked her human tactical officer, Taewan. "Possibly," Soo-Jin replied. "What's our protocol, people?" "Peaceful approach," said her Silhai engineer, Wind Through Stars. "Universal friendship signals, no weapons lock." "Offer of aid if needed," added her Kefri communications officer, Bright Facet. "Cultural exchange if desired." "No demands, no threats, no assumptions," finished her former Federation science officer, Morketh. "Just hello." Soo-Jin smiled. It had taken the Federation 10,000 years to develop first contact protocols that assumed alien species were either threats or subjects to be protected. The Alliance had created better ones in 5 years, based on a simple principle. Treat others as you'd want to be treated. Very well, she said. Let's go say hello to the galaxy's newest neighbors. Back on Earth, Captain Dae-ho Kim, now ambassador to non-aligned worlds, received a message that made him smile. It was from a species humanity had never heard of, living on the far side of the galaxy. Greetings, humans of Earth, the message began. We have heard of your alliance and your principles. We wish to learn more about this freedom you speak of. It was happening more and more often. Word of the alliance was spreading beyond the former Federation's borders, carried by traders and explorers to species that had never known galactic civilization existed. The message continued. We have long believed that our world was alone in the universe. To learn that there are others who value choice over control, cooperation over domination. It gives us hope. Dae-ho began composing his reply. It was always the same basic message, the one that had started the revolution. Welcome to the galaxy. Now show us what you can do. In the former Federation capital, Vextar walked through gardens that had once been restricted to government officials. Now they were open to everyone, a symbol of how much had changed. He was old now, his tentacles, moving slowly as he made his way to a bench overlooking the city. The capital was thriving under Alliance rule, busier and more vibrant than it had ever been under the Federation. A human child ran past, chasing a Velmani crystal sprite while her Silhai friend provided musical accompaniment. The sight would have been impossible under Federation rule, different species mixing freely, children playing together without concern for political boundaries. Regrets? Asked a familiar voice. Vextar turned to see Dr. Yuna Park, now elderly herself but still sharp. She visited him sometimes, not as captor to prisoner, but as one old being to another. Many, Vextar admitted. We could have had this thousands of years ago. All that wasted time, all those suppressed dreams. The past is gone, Yuna said gently. What matters is what we do now. And what are we doing now?